We review it Wednesday.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our 100th episode. Shang-Chi, the Legend of the Ten Rings. Are you ready to do this? This is a scary movie.
I'm as ready as I'll ever be, that's for sure. You ready to get loose? Foot loose?
Let's do it. I can't sing, otherwise I would.
Did you see the gun show? I heard they had the Top Gun.
Can you smell the garlic?
The garlic?
Yeah.
No.
I put garlic all over my hands and everything to try and, keep off the evil. No, I just wanted to tell you about Maddie's Movie Mix podcast. Excuse me, the name's Bond. James Bond. It's called A Lance. Hello. Throwing it back 20 years.
Introducing your host.
I know there's been a lot of speculation of whether or not I am Matt Logan. And yes, I am Matt Logan.
I'm Tyler. Tyler Peterson.
Slugheads.
You really started strong and then went down to, this is our 100th episode.
I was thinking you would.
We are at our 100th episode,
I thought
Matt.
you would kick in the 100 part.
Oh, well, as you can see, this is clearly scripted.
Kind of like, yes. Titanium!
Tuesday.
Oh, wait, wrong
no.
day.
Well, yeah. But it is a superhero film.
It is a superhero film.
Spoiler alert.
100th
Spoiler
episode. Thanks
alert.
for watching, listening, and all that kind of fun stuff, and giving us the comments and the likes and the subscribes. This is fun.
It is a blast.
And it's not scripted, as you said.
Right.
It's a conversation. We have some notes and different things just for our memory because, when you're sitting around a campfire, you're going to grab your phone these days and say, oh, yeah, that's right. This is what happened. You
People
look it
still
up, confirm
have
it.
bonfires?
I know.
Just kidding. We had one 2 weeks ago.
Did you?
Yep.
All right.
My brother's staying with us this summer, and so we had a bonfire.
Good.
And it was great.
Excellent.
I don't know if it was as great as Infinity War, though.
Infinity War was really good. I enjoyed it. My scores, I'm not going to say obviously really anything, but I was really surprised by them.
Yeah.
And when I really sat down and I watched it twice.
Oh, did you? Because you said you didn't know if you were going to watch it again.
I didn't, and I decided. Last week didn't work out.
Yeah, I was
so I decided I would watch it, and then I was on a plane and watched it again. So
that's awesome.
I'm like, yeah, okay, this, it's solid.
Yeah. Do you remember your first time watching it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an experience.
For sure.
This is such a cool movie.
It was almost 90s level excitement for being in the theater.
Yeah.
It wasn't that, but
right.
in the 90s there was a lot of Bonds that came out that were huge. They just people were lining up for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously then, the Phantom Menace in the late 90s.
Ooh, yeah.
And then Matrix ended up doing very well
Sure
early
did.
2000s. The first one didn't
right.
in theaters, but so yeah, this felt that way to me.
There was a lot of hype going into it.
Yeah, it was great.
Which is crazy.
I really loved the story arc, how they did everybody very well, and it left me, even again after knowing what happens in the next one, it left me wanting more.
Megan didn't know this was a 2-part film, my wife.
Okay.
And I remember, this is the biggest memory I have of this film. She was in complete tears at the end of it because she just thought that was it.
It was emotional.
It was incredible. It starts strong on a huge note, ends strong on a huge note, which is, it's hard to do in a film.
Yeah.
And this did it well. And I remember explaining, we went to, I forget where we watched this one, but I remember afterwards we had to go to Hobby Lobby. And I remember we just sat in the parking lot for probably 5 minutes as Megan was in tears, just trying to recuperate from the end of it. I was like, it was emotional.
It had the feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The first one was very good. I really enjoyed the first one as well.
Yep.
The one in between there, I wasn't super.
Oh, Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't super thrilled. There were some parts in it that were really fun and really good, and obviously it needed that for the story, but I wasn't my favorite.
That one was a little bit too much of a comedy.
Yeah.
If I remember right. Like, it was too many jokes.
The first one kind of was too, but I thought they landed really well.
Right.
And the second one,
No.
they didn't. But yeah, this is creeping up on the end.
Yeah.
And one way.
Could you imagine if they would have ended it after Endgame? I would have been happy.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's reboot it.
Yeah.
Granted, there's no way they would have done that with how well everything was going in their direction.
No, but I think that they're different phases. That was sort of their soft reboots.
Yep.
And yeah, I
Did not.
It's no.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
We do digress.
A lot of cool things that they introduced.
Lots of great one-liners.
Yeah.
Who is Gamora?
Yeah.
What
That
is
was a
Gamora? How is
much
that was
would he got?
improvised?
Not
Like
for sale.
Chris Pratt told Dave
Okay, how much
Bautista,
would
like,
he
hey, you
up?
should try this out during the scene.
Sure.
And he sure did,
Oh,
and it
get that up.
it landed so well.
It did.
Yeah.
It was perfect to his character.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely. What was really fun too is Tony Stark always upping his game on the suits and stuff, and the
It's
nanobots. And
crazy
different
how
things.
well they do that, because like you said, each film he gets a new suit. Like, there's some upgrade to it, and it's always super interesting to see what that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they gave Spider-Man he kind of had an advanced suit, but then he got the nano suit in this film too.
Yeah.
And they're going up to space, which is really cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And how intuitive it was. They made the comments and things, but
Yeah.
$325 to $400 million budget they claim,
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but they did $2 billion
Yeah.
in the box office, so
Right.
it's very, very well.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yep.
They hyped it right and well. It wasn't like too
Well, it was
over the top. There weren't too many things that I remember anyway that were leaked.
Yeah.
So
And what's amazing to me when it comes to Endgame or Infinity War and Endgame, I mean, MCU has built this. Basically, you're staying to the end and watching the post-credit scenes because it sets up for these other movies.
Right.
And they did it so well. Like, you talk about the hype, the getting ready for the end and the finale, and like everything did lead to Infinity War. And it's crazy, like everything coming together from those end credit scenes. You got Thanos, you got Thor coming up, like end of must have been the third Ragnarok, when his planet gets decimated. There was an end credit scene that basically goes straight into now where Infinity War started.
yeah.
I mean, it's just
Clever.
It was so cool.
I mean, can you imagine the storyboard walls that
Yeah.
they lay all this stuff
I mean,
out?
it would have been cities. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't just fit it. It's
Right.
not just one,
It's-
not even one room.
It's like it's got to be some big octagon
Yeah.
or something, right?
It's all connected.
Mark Ruffalo, I think he's great as the Hulk. It would have been interesting to see if what's his name would have been able to continue on that path.
Norton.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
like him.
Right.
I'm not a fan of his.
Yeah.
But he did a good job as the Hulk.
Yeah.
He has the eyes for it.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
As Bruce Banner, he has
Yeah, I
the
mean-
eyes for it.
It's really like, it's a weird thing to say is important to a character, but really it is.
Yeah.
Because that's where you see the changes.
Yeah.
It was within the eyes.
Yeah, that was it was really fun. Chris Evans did a good job. I thought he really honestly, I think this was almost the best he did. I'd have to watch Endgame again.
Well, he wasn't stuck in the whole Captain America persona. Like,
Yeah.
they kind of transitioned him both in Civil War and Winter Soldier. But, I mean, in this movie, I wouldn't even classify him as Captain America. He was just Steve Rogers,
Yeah.
which was a better character. At least I was more intrigued by that character as a whole.
And I just think his abilities as an actor
Yeah.
were evident in this.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the others, I agree with you, though, the character was written
Yep.
better.
Yeah.
But I think his acting ability in itself was better,
Yeah.
personally.
I really liked how they introduced the Guardians to the whole crew, too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, again, Peter Quill is
right.
is a human,
Yeah.
but he got taken from Earth so early, and then you got
Tom
Spider-Man's character that's making all of these 80s, 90s references
Right.
that Peter Quill gets, and it's like that awkward moment of like, oh, wait a second, we shouldn't be fighting each other. We're on the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Tony Stark says, "Are you from Earth?"
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Missouri. That's Earth, stupid, or whatever it was. That
I'm
the timing
half human.
of it.
That's where all my stupidity comes.
Yeah. That's 100% you. I know it. Super fun parts, and all throughout the film, they did a good balance.
And they talked about, there was an interview with the Russo brothers where they really did spend a lot of time figuring out what characters within this Avengers universe that we have would interact well together.
Yeah.
And what ones are we pairing together? Because obviously they're not going to stay together the whole film. There's going to be different splinters, different groups, different missions that they're all going to be working on. And so how are we going to pair them together that they're going to get the strongest chemistry out of to move that story forward? And they did a great choice of who they paired together.
Yeah, absolutely. I do miss, I've said this before, I miss Joss Whedon and what he brings to the table. Mm-hmm. I don't remember back then why he wasn't involved in it, if that was part of his, ran into some of his trouble of, I guess, being a not nice person.
Right.
And I don't know the level of it, but I really enjoy his writing ability.
I think the Russo brothers really impressed Marvel because they also directed, I think it was Civil War or Winter Soldier.
One of them.
And those did incredibly well, which is why then I think I don't even know if, probably considered, but like the preference I think was always going to be the Russo brothers because of those films.
One of the things that I do remember back when this, and I don't know why I didn't realize it before, but when this came out and I saw this, Karen Gillan.
Yeah. Doctor Who. Just kidding.
I'm like, that's when it connected with me.
Oh, really?
In this film.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sitting there in the theater watching it. I'm like, oh, like it's not. Oh my gosh, it's Amelia Pond.
Yeah.
I don't know why it took so long. But,
Yeah. Well, to be fair, she doesn't really look like her.
No, but I guess honestly, I like, she's familiar, but I never looked it up, never really cared. I didn't place the name together for some reason. I don't know why. Obviously, it had been a few years.
Yeah.
And things like that, but I was
That's
like,
really
that
funny.
was hilarious at that moment. I'm like,
Matt Smith comes up from the background.
Right.
Hey, we got places to go.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
So good memories on something like this too. It's one of those things that if you can have those memories and they're created in a natural way, I love it.
Yeah.
It's
so cool.
a good experience. So.
Yeah.
What else do you have? You want to get into scoring? Or?
Yeah, we can. The other line I'll mention is, the other iconic one is you should have aimed for the head.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy. Like, if I was in Thor's shoes, having all the emotions that I had, like, I'm sure he went for the chest because he wanted to see the emotion in Thanos' eyes. And so it's just, there's so many, like, even like the fight scene when they're on Titan, and it's Peter Quill, the Guardians, Peter, Iron Man, that group, like, seeing the emotion, like, Chris Pratt did a great job in this film too, of having the emotion of like, well, what happened to Gamora? Like, what was going on? And you get the whole battle going on around, but like, the only thing that was in Peter's mind was him and Thanos and where the heck is Gamora? Yeah. Which was super cool. But so like that emotion piece, and then the thing with Thor of he should have aimed for the head or should have gone for the head. It's like all those small things. Like, how many times in our lives, like, oh man, if I would have just done this thing slightly differently, we could have had a different outcome.
Right.
And so they really emphasize that in some of the things that were going on in this movie of like, oh, we should have done this thing slightly differently. But also, if you would have looked at going back to what you said about there's only one way that this is all going to work, even if you would have changed it, there's so many different things that could have gone wrong.
Which is why I really enjoyed One Way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he went and viewed Doctor Strange viewed 14 million or whatever different scenarios.
Yeah, as he's like twitching out over.
Yeah, one.
Yeah,
we win in one.
Yeah,
that's huge. So all those things like, oh, that had to happen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's fake, but you're sitting there like that had to happen.
Yeah,
that
right.
way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
The other cool thing that I looked up that on the movie poster for the Infinity War, you have 24 characters on it. 12 of them are dead or blipped. Dead at the end of the film. 12 survived. Really like focusing on that balance of like 50-50. We got to have this even balance in the universe.
Yeah.
Which was really cool.
That is cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Actor chemistry. They had some time together.
Yeah.
Because obviously there was, many of them had a lot of years and years together.
Right.
But some of them just a couple of films.
Mm-hmm. And some of them, like we talked about the Guardians, they've never really interacted with the rest of the Avengers. Thor has some, but they all blended really well.
Yeah, I thought they did very well. Who's going to go first? 100th episode.
100th episode.
Flip a coin.
Well, I think you should go first.
Oh, I don't know about that. But
ladies first.
Ladies first. All right, that makes sense then. You can tell by my voice.
Yeah.
This is my regular voice.
All right, Batman.
Kind of like Quill was doing.
Oh yeah. No, Quill, this is
that's not your voice. That's never my main focus.
Right.
Is picking things apart. That shows up in my score, I guess. But one of the things that I really enjoyed is that these large casts, they spend a lot of time, a lot of time together.
Right.
Outside of work.
It's a fun time.
They have to.
Yeah.
Because their chemistry it's done very well.
Yeah.
There's no way that you can have that just by showing up.
Yeah, and acting for the day and then leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just no way. They might not all get along really well, but you can tell and I don't know if they do or not. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that you can tell, in my opinion, they spend time together off screen.
Yeah.
Whether that be on the set, off screen, they're hanging out, doing something while they're preparing whatever scene. But I really do enjoy that. Thanos' character, when they kind of started talking about it back then, I was kind of a little bit concerned that wasn't going to go very well.
Right.
But they did a very good job of looking where they needed to look and all those things.
Right.
I thought that can't be easy.
Right.
But
no, especially because you're talking about Thanos, he started getting mentioned as soon as the original Avengers came out.
Right.
But he had certain scenes, he was somewhat in Guardians, he was in some post-credit scenes, but beyond that, he didn't have a lot of screen time. It was all about basically whispers on the street. Thanos is coming. This is something you should be scared about. But oftentimes when things like that happens, it's so easy to miss that hype and be like, oh, he isn't as menacing as we thought he was going to be.
Right.
And like we talked about right away, he just came in knocking, and it was crazy.
One of the things that I didn't care much about, Phantom Menace, when they introduced Jar Jar Binks, it was pretty obvious that they weren't looking in the right places.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is 18 years later, but
yeah.
So you got to give them that. But nonetheless, they weren't. So that kind of stuff I kind of notice, and that takes some skill on the actor's part.
Right.
Because obviously he doesn't look that way.
No.
He's not sized that way.
No.
All those things. So that takes some effort, and wherever they got to
look.
look.
Because he was the size of Hulk.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I'm kind of a little surprised, and I'm not going to point out where this comes from, but I'm a 4.2.
Okay.
This one.
Yeah.
A little lower than I thought I would be.
Okay.
But the second time I watched it recently, I started
noticing
a few things. And
yeah.
Again, I'm not an actor, and I'm just a novice viewer.
Yeah.
And so, but when you notice some of those things, I'm like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But it's not a big deal.
It's a huge deal. Just
Well, I would say that, the first Avengers, it would be fun to eventually,
I wasn't a huge fan of the first Avengers.
I wasn't either.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to watch again and review it. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you were saying. It's a huge cast. And how do you grade chemistry when you have so many different interactions going on and so many major hitters? And how do you critique that on the same side of do we get enough time with this character in the context of the film? Like, could have they spent more time, or should have they? Or should have they spent less time so they could focus on these other things? Overall, I really did think it was great. I love seeing a lot of these different characters meeting up for the first time, because even like Wakanda, you have Black Panther meeting. I guess Bucky Barnes really went to Wakanda because he lost his arm and had some memory issues, but that doesn't mean the actor actually spent a lot of time hanging out with T'Challa and those characters that were like.
They did seem to imply that he was like.
It had been probably a few years.
Yeah, but maybe even like some sort of a vagabond, even that he just was a wanderer. Or at least some sort of
the White Wolf. I think it was what.
Yeah. Or at least some sort of hermit.
Yeah. Right. Which I think fits the character. Really well. And the other thing I forgot to mention is like this whole movie takes over a 2-day span. And that's it.
Yeah.
Which is like when I first heard it, I was like, oh no, there's no way. There's so much that happens within this film. But then you look at it and it's like, oh yeah, like
there's a lot of real time stuff. Like they're flipping back that this is happening while this is happening.
It's all simultaneous, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I gave it a 4.6 when it comes to acting chemistry. I mean, there's a lot of people that's in it, a lot of people meeting for the first time, a lot of people that have the history, but still you got to maintain it. It's not always just because you have the history there doesn't mean that you can always maintain it and keep it at the level it was at before. So I thought they did a really good job with the amount of characters that were in it, especially after seeing movies like Eternals that have a lot of people that just was awful. I've seen other films where you start getting this big of a cast, and even the story is good. You just get too many characters that don't have the chemistry to make the movie work. And so I think this film still did a lot of that really well.
Yeah.
It means
it's a word.
How does it look? And how is it shot together?
Yeah. It's always a fun one that we like to make fun of.
It's too long of
a
word.
It is too long of a word, but it's an important piece to any film.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really important that when you have a film that has so much green screen stuff on it, that it's done well and right. And it was, I thought, well, actually this scene I was going to mention anyway, but this scene, I thought they did a great job. They're in space, but they don't make it.
We can kill Thanos.
Look weird or awkward or whatever. I mean, it's everything's. It looks natural to me.
Yeah.
But of course, they did that with the lighting. It's darker, but that's what cinematography is.
Exactly.
And so that really impresses me when they can do it like that.
And that scene was really cool too when they get to start going.
Yeah.
And seeing how that whole lighting thing,
front to back, was great.
Yeah.
I love that. And so when they do those things, you can have a really crappy CGI background, and they don't care because you're trying to focus in on the main character or whatever else. But they didn't do that here.
Right.
And so cinematography, I was very happy with, very impressed with. Better be. They spent nearly $400 million on it. And so with that said, this is a higher score for me. This is a 4.8.
Okay.
Cinematography. Watching it on whatever screen, and I don't remember specifically in the theater because we weren't doing this then.
Right.
But I remember on the different size screens that I did watch that and here now, it just looks good on all of them.
Yeah, it does.
So that's important.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different locations that they went to. Again, it's crazy when it's over a 2-day span. And I think the other thing that really was a benefit that they were smart with is that, again, they grouped people together and they all went to the same place.
Yeah.
And so those actors would have like the same feelings and be able to interact together in those same situations.
Good point.
Rather than having to be like, now we're going to move him here, there, this other place. Like, they're all going in together, so that way they can keep that chemistry, that bond in these different places that they're going to. I think Titan looked beautiful. The Soul World was really well done.
Yes.
I mean, Earth, Wakanda, like New York City, they all look completely different. But like you said, it looked natural to what they were going in.
Yeah.
And so, I gave it a 4.7. I thought it was incredibly well done. The lighting was fun to watch. Each of the locations, the ships, like the whole circle disc ship thing.
Yeah.
Was cool to watch, but then even the inside of it was cool and how they interacted in that playground of like, oh, we're fighting together, we got to do these things. And so it really was shot well together. And like the other thing that Marvel I think did really well in the beginning was that I was listening to actually an interview with James Gunn. The difference between like Marvel and DC is that Marvel is more of like, you got New York, like all the places are Earth-based. So you got New York City, you got these places that are Earth-bound. And so it's really important for them to make it seem realistic because they're trying to connect you because we can see those places. I mean, granted, maybe not in the full scale of what Marvel is, but again, you have to connect with it. And so they did a really good job at making those places relatable.
Yeah. I agree. Over and over and over and over again, I could watch it.
Yeah. Well, you watched it twice, you said.
Yeah, within a week.
Yeah.
Or 10 days or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I could totally watch it again.
Yeah.
And be entertained.
I mean, even when we were talking, I remember there was like scenes like I get distracted by. I was like, oh man, this scene was so cool to watch.
Yeah. And so when there's a movie like that, I'm a big James Bond fan, as you know. And there's some Bonds that are like, I really kind of want to watch it again, but I don't really want to watch it again.
Right,
you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is not that way, at least not yet.
Yeah.
I would completely, in fact, an outdoor movie this summer, I'd love to put that on my outdoor screen. I just want to.
Because the music is fantastic.
It is. The music is fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. The score is great.
I was talking with somebody actually recently, and there's not a lot of, when I look at DC, there's a lot of like character themes that I recognize. I think there's a lot more in the DC, but to me, the one soundtrack that always connects is the Avengers theme, and the way that they're able to get a blend to all together. And I mean, in a movie like this, they do a good job too at least connecting to all the different characters, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Even if I don't actually know what their theme is.
Right. So overall entertainment, this is going to be an outrageously high score, but it is not going to beat cinematography. This is a 4.7.
Okay.
Overall entertainment. There are very few 5s in my world.
Have you given a 5?
I'm not giving a 5 because we have not reviewed a movie that is a 5, but I'm not going to give it away. I have a couple of 5s, three that I can think of right now that are 5s for me for overall entertainment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We haven't gotten to them yet.
No, we haven't.
Sometime we will. But
yeah, I think I 2 and 3 is a good number to have for 5s.
Yeah.
Is it like straight 5s, or is it like
straight 5 for overall entertainment?
Okay. Well, so like, but not straight 5s of like.
Okay. No, of solid 5, I should say, not a straight 5, not a straight. No.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
No. But overall entertainment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of the same things you said. This movie to me is a lot better than Endgame. I really don't like time travel, except for like if it's a self-contained movie or like Doctor Who, like fine, do time travel
because that's what they do.
That's what the movie is. Yes. Exactly. Absolutely. And I remember getting out of this movie. I was like, I really like this one, and it was really great. But I know in the next film that they're probably going to have to do time travel, and I'm not going to enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
But this movie was great. Really cool to see it, like the Gamora character. Again, they just made decisions that they hadn't made before. They killed off characters. They, I mean, at the end, again, when people dissipated, I was like, probably all those people are coming back. But like, Vision, when he got killed, I was like, he's going to be gone. They'll probably bring Loki back somehow, and they did. But even Gamora, I mean, they brought her back, but like completely different character.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool how that was done. So yeah, I gave it a 4.6. It's really enjoyable. Like you said, I could watch it. I don't know if I could watch it twice within 2 or 3 weeks, but it's definitely one I could watch at least once a year.
Yeah, nice. What do you got for our 100th episode? Anything? Any sweet memories? Good sad stories? Make people laugh?
No, I remember.
Tell me how great I am.
Remember the first time meeting you, Matt? I don't know. It's just crazy to me think how far we've come, or not, like even just both the relationship and like even just how we've done the recordings. I remember doing When Harry Met Sally and Shang-Chi. I think those were the first 2 that we did.
And we did Venom that didn't work.
Oh,
that didn't work out.
We had issues with both Venoms, didn't we?
Yeah. So but whatever.
But being in your living room and around that table, I think we had Christmas trees and lights behind us. And so
it's real, man.
It's real.
Yeah.
And we've come far.
And we went up to the Black Room.
Yeah, we did.
For a while.
Got a little warm.
Out to,
yeah.
This isn't specifically our permanent home, but it's close. We're very close to it.
It's just fine tuning at this point.
Yeah, and the final home is in the same area, but it is a new space. I'll build.
Yeah.
It's just going to take a lot more time than I had really hoped for.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to have a big screen up there. I want to do. I've talked about this before. I want to do a lot of different things. Our spring kind of got off to the wrong track.
Yeah, it did.
Which kind of messed up our whole summer.
Right.
Because if we would have been running along, we can keep that going in the summer. But because that got messed up, and now I'm super busy, and we have such a packed summer, or I do,
right?
And
I just get sick.
Well, what I'm saying is there's like I have 2 weddings that I'm officiating that takes up a lot of time here at the end of the summer, which is great. I'm very on. I don't mean that as a negative.
Yeah, right.
It just takes time, because they're. A lot of the same people will be at both weddings.
That's right.
And so they have to be very different weddings.
So you got to throw Easter eggs.
So I have
to connect them together.
I got to do that, but
you just got to do one of those elusive double weddings.
Right.
Just come in. We'll just marry you at the same time.
Yeah. I don't think that would go over.
It's a lot easier for me, which is really
which is what it's about. This is about me, folks.
That's right. Efficiency, efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember who said it, but it's good to be efficient with things, but not efficient with people.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
Being efficient with
so
people.
Easy.
It's so easy. I'm super guilty of it, but I digress. Anyway, we've got a lot of plans, and we're having a lot of fun with it. Mm-hmm. And things are, going well. YouTube, we had to kind of make an adjustment there.
Yep.
But YouTube's really starting to pick up now, and so we appreciate you for that. We want to do better. Leave us a comment, a suggestion, a snide remark.
Yeah, we like emails.
Or email. Email is a guarantee.
What would be a great way to celebrate this 100th is me just messing up the email again, because that's just what I do. And now I say that, and I don't think I can. I always legit Q at maddysmoviemix.com if you want to leave.
You nailed it.
That's right.
You nailed it.
Practice.
So we look forward to another 100 episodes.
Yeah, it's coming.
And especially once winter hits.
Winter is coming.
If I can spit that out. Once winter hits, we should be coming, MILF Mondays.
Oh, yeah.
We have Titanium Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
We review it Wednesdays.
Oh, yeah.
Throwback Thursdays.
That sounds
Freak
real
Fest
nice.
Fridays.
Oh.
Silly Saturdays.
That's my sweet spot.
And Sci-Fi Sundays.
All coming to you.
All
and
coming.
Next year, baby.
That's right. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it.